What is up, you guys? ZXRyuu, and we're going to do a demonstration of all of the special weapons in this video. So I've got a lot of money saved up, and we're going to just start working through the special weapons. So this video is just going to kind of be a cut and edit type of thing. So, but we'll at least walk through kind of the first special weapon that we're going to update, and then we'll go from there, and it'll kind of, cut to each special weapon so that the video is not like super long. So, okay, so anyway, we're gonna change to our first special weapon, which is the machine gun arm, or the machine buster, I guess. And then what we're gonna do after that is we're gonna enhance it all the way up to max, so you can see how all this works. So it's kind of nice because there's like a description down at the bottom that shows what each thing does. So anyway, here let's switch to another weapon here real quick. So anyway, the attack usually says increases firepower. So, and then you do the amount of energy or the amount of ammo for certain things. So then it increases the weapon range, or like how far it'll shoot. So the machine buster does not have that much range. It's not very good in that department. And also too, this is a special weapon that you get pretty early on. So I mean, you're really supposed to kind of take the time to upgrade it, early on in the game if you want to use it. I don't know that I would recommend this weapon for the final boss, I guess, just because it's really, really short ranged. The ammo does not go that far, and so anyway, it's just kind of a so-so weapon. So I guess let's go back into the sub-city, and I'll demonstrate it. So this is what the machine buster is like at full power. Uh-oh. I mean, what's nice about the machine buster is you can still run around while you use it. So anyway, that's the machine buster. It's got its use because you can move around and it has a lot of shots. If you update the energy quite a bit, you can get some pretty good damage out of it. Its range is really its drawback. So, and it's a weapon that you get really early on. So I mean, it's not really super special. So. Okay, so next is the powered buster, and we updated this, upgraded it pretty much all the way through when we were playing just the normal playthrough, but I don't think I actually, I think I did change it. So, but anyway, it's a mounted cannon type of weapon, and so you have to sit still while you're using it. It goes super far. It doesn't have that many shots. It's not very fast, but it does do some pretty decent damage. So, and again, this weapon is really meant to be updated or upgraded early on in the game. So, and again, this is like a sniper type weapon where it's better to hit enemies from far away because they'll, because it doesn't really make sense to shoot them close range with it, and sometimes it misses, so the explosion isn't very good. So, or just the hitbox on it is not very good. So, I mean, it has decent damage output, but it's kind of meant to be used when you get it in the game, not necessarily for like the final boss, because the final boss does not sit still long enough for you to really use that, so it's not very good against the final boss. And that's really what you want to be choosing special weapons for anyway, is their utilitarian use against the final boss. So, okay, so the next weapon is the drill arm. Again, this is more of a tool than a weapon. So, but its attack power is really high. It has infinite energy, but it has absolutely no range. So just even trying to, I'm actually just going to take some of these guys out just so that I can deal with them kind of one at a time here, because this weapon's going to be like that anyway. Okay, so let's see if we can get this guy to just bomb us to do a better demonstration, because then I can get close without worrying about getting hurt. Yeah, so I mean, it does... it does a lot of damage, but you have to be sitting on top of the enemies, and the enemies have to let you sit there. So it's a tool. It's not a special weapon. It's a tool. It's like the vacuum arm. The vacuum arm is a tool. So... okay, so the next special weapon is the grenade arm. We're going to update that, enhance it. Okay, so anyway, yeah, I guess to explain, the attack is just more damage, the energy is more shots, the range is how far it goes, the rapid is how fast it is, and then the special is just like some special effect. So in each weapon, special effect is a little bit different. So, but a lot of these early weapons don't have a lot of special effects. It's not until you get to the more powerful weapons that they have a lot more special effects that you can use. Oh, wow. Okay. All right, so this weapon, it's like a grenade. You just lob it at the enemies. You can run while you're using it. But, man, that's hard to use. Let's get up on top of, like, this building over here. It does have an interesting bounce to it. Okay, they're going to destroy this building eventually here, so let's get away from that. So you can throw a few of them. Not super fast, and also, you know, this is not going to be very good against the final boss anyway, because you have to have good aim. And again, he's not going to sit still long enough for you to do this. This is, again, a weapon that's supposed to be used right when you get it. So if you choose not to use it, don't bother. Because honestly, your Buster is going to be more powerful than that thing is. So, yeah, so the grenade arm is pretty useless in that regard. Okay, so the next special weapon is the Spread Buster. So, and this is one of the kind of secret weapons of the game. You have to go looking around a lot for this. It's pretty expensive. This is starting to get into one of the more expensive weapons. But it has a huge amount of attack power. It does not have very much energy. And honestly, it does not go very far. So anyway, so the special on here, it says increase rate of fire. So if we update that. All right, so let's see what this weapon does. Yeah, so it has a huge amount of bombs. Okay, so let's get this guy out of the way first, and this other. Because just the range is not that good, so I mean, trying to fight some of these guys just makes more sense to let's just get them out of the way first so we can do a better demo of how this works. Yeah. So, I mean, it has a huge amount of attack power. Yeah, so anything that comes near you better watch out with this thing, because it does not take that much to kill enemies with it. I would say that this probably would work okay on the final boss. The only problem with it is just since it does not have that much range, you have to get right up in Juno's face to use this weapon. I mean, it's got power, but yeah, so it only takes 2 rounds of this thing to kill these enemies. So, and I guess just as a side note, I don't know if anybody knows this, but you can destroy these buildings. Yeah. So, anyway, this is a pretty decent weapon. Using it against the final boss is okay. Again, you have to kind of time your shot to when he's, you know, sitting still or when he's coming at you or when he's stopped or whatever. So, this works pretty well in Juno's second form, I think. But kind of beyond that, it's not as useful just because the range is not good. Okay, so the vacuum arm we've pretty much been using the whole game. But so the vacuum arm has no attack power. It has infinite energy. It's got a little bit of range. The rapid doesn't matter because it's just a vacuum. And then the special, what the special does with this weapon is you can pull in, instead of it getting sucked in on the ground, it'll just immediately be pulled towards you. So it just increases the rate that it's pulled to you. So, but again, this is your tool of choice for collecting Zenny all throughout the game because it, you know, it makes it super easy and you don't have to run around and grab it all by hand. You can just suck it up whenever. Like that. So pretty easy, pretty straightforward. It's really cheap to update in this one. In Legends 2, it's not as cheap. But yeah. So that's the vacuum arm. Okay, the active buster we'll save for a little bit later because just the cost on it is really high, so I'm going to have to reset with the amount of money that I have in order to make this work right. So, anyway. Okay, so next is the blade arm. So, increase the firepower on that. Okay, increase the amount of energy that you can use for it. You can increase its range a little bit. It'll send out a blade in front of it that'll shoot a little ways. So that's what the range is that you can upgrade. And you can make it go, you know, about as far as the spread buster, I guess. And then there's no rapid no rapid or special on this one. So, and I guess the blade arm in this game is In Mega Man Legends 2, it's a little less but it's just a ton different. So anyway. So Mega Man kind of just does like a slash. And a little blade comes out. A little slash comes out from it. it's not super strong. It doesn't put enemies immediately into crumple or break or whatever. So, yeah, and hitting them with the blade is kind of what you have to do, but you have to get up in their face again to make that work right, so. Get some of these enemies out of here. Okay. So, I mean, it has decent attack power. It's just you have to be hitting the enemies with the blade and the shot that comes off of it. So, not that great on the final boss, especially since he doesn't really get that close to you. So, it's not as good as something else you could be using. Okay. So, next is the Grand Grenade. The Grand Grenade is kind of expensive with attack power. It's 100,000 zenny. So it's like the Grenade Arm, except better. I'm not going to update the energy. You get 32 shots with it if you update it to max. It doesn't give you infinite energy. So, and, you know, you only really need a few of these. Especially for a demo. Now, for the final boss, if you really do want to use this weapon, I would recommend updating the energy all the way, just because it'll give you some more. It'll just give you more. I'm actually going to use some of my reserve tank. Just because after I upgrade with all the money I have, I'm going to reset the console anyway, so. So, super powerful. Goes a decent ways. So, this weapon is actually pretty decent to use on the final boss. Now, again, if you're going to use it on the final boss, definitely update the energy. But again, you have to be sitting still in order to use it. So that's the drawback to it, is you have to be sitting still. So, but since it throws pretty far and it throws a decent amount, or a decent speed anyway, it's okay to use against the final boss, I think. Okay, so next is the Splash Mine. This is like this is the first weapon that you get, and it's not that fantastic in any sense. You can only update the attack and the energy, and it's not super strong. And since Juno can hover, this weapon is basically useless. So let's get some of these enemies out of the way, and then we'll use it on the gray machine over there. You know, again, it's meant to just be set on the ground and the enemy can walk over it, so. I mean, you can set it super fast and it'll put enemies kind of into crumple when you use it, but again, against the final boss, nah. I'd rather use something else. So this weapon would only be good against Juno Form 2, and even then you'd have to be right up in his face, and it's just, you don't want to do that. So I would not recommend that weapon against the final boss. Alright. Okay, so the shield arm has no attack power. Doesn't have infinite energy. Increase the size of the shield. Alright. So not super expensive to update. Did I change one? Yes, okay. Not super expensive to update. But I mean, if you really want to go with this, you know, that could work. If you just want to be defensive against the final boss and just use your Buster, you can do that. But it only puts out a shield in front of you, and it's, you know... So it'll block shots, and it'll, you know, kind of push you back. So, but since Juno uses a lot of explosion-type moves, this is only going to really save you from energy shots. So, I mean, okay, it works okay for that. Yeah, it'll deflect explosions a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, it's okay if you want to use it against the final boss and be defensive rather than offensive. It's just the final boss fight is going to take a lot longer, and you might have the risk of dying. So, but, I mean, again, it's more of a tool, and it really is just a shield. So, I don't know. If you want to be defensive and use that, you could. But if you want to be offensive, there's definitely other weapons that you can use. Okay, the shining laser. Okay, so that's all the, just kind of like what I would call the normal special weapons. So we're gonna exit the game and reset so that we have our money back, and then we'll update the shining laser.
Good luck!
All right. Okay, so now for the active buster. So, and since we did some updating on this throughout the run, we don't have to spend as much money on it. Yeah, but it's expensive. So the energy is really expensive. It'll cost you about 1,000,000 zenny or so, actually a little over 1,000,000, to update all of the energy stats on it. But it does give you infinite energy. If you take the time to update and get this 1,000,000 zenny or whatever, it'll give you infinite energy. So it's pretty worth it if you want to do that. So, and what this does is increases homing capabilities. So it'll curve a lot farther, or it'll like curve around a lot better. So that's what that does. So let's go try it out. And this is probably the weapon you're going to want to use against the final boss. And the reason I say that is because it's got almost max attack, it'll have infinite energy, it'll have max range, and it'll have max rapid, and it'll have max special. And it just destroys enemies. It just whips right through them. Yeah, but you see kind of that curving effect that it does. That gets more and more drastic if you update it all the way. So. But yeah, I mean, it's going clear across the stage. I mean, you know, you can just wipe enemies out with it. It's a mounted cannon also. So you can't move, but who really cares, you know? So the active buster is probably going to be the one that you're going to want to stick with. It's the most powerful, it's got the most capability, and it's just really, really good.
Good luck!
Okay, so next is the Shining Laser. So this is the last special weapon of the game. Again, this is a secret weapon where you have to go do some side quests in order to get the parts for this. So, and Roll said that she's never created a weapon out of pure light and pure energy. So, and this thing is ridiculous. Same thing with the energy. If you want to update the energy all the way, it'll give you infinite energy, which is really good. So there's really not that much to update on it. I mean, it's, you know, it's the attack, energy, and range. But again, it's 200,000 to make it infinite. So, but this is probably the other weapon. If you choose not to go with the active buster because it's so expensive, I would go with this thing. Pretty much same effect. And you don't have to hold the button very long either. And in the final boss's arena, the range does not matter that much. So, you know, that's as far as the arena is anyway. So, yeah. Keeps going out of range. The hitbox on it's kind of weird too with some enemies where it'll like go through them or go around them for no reason, even though you can see it hitting the wall behind. So it does that same thing to Mega Man Juno as well. So that's all of the special weapons. So my recommendation for the final boss is either you go with the active buster if you fully deck it out, or you go with the Shining Laser. So with those two in mind, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset, and we'll go fight the final boss with these two special weapons, just so you can see how powerful they really are against the final boss. All right, so we're just going to do like a quick thing with the final boss here to show what the active buster can do. Yeah, you see that health bar?
What was that?
Yeah, so that's the first form. It goes pretty quick. And again, if you update the energy, you know, you can just like unload at him the whole time. So. So anyway, that's what the active buster can do to the final boss. It just sucks his life like crazy. So that's a good weapon to use on him. Okay, so this is a demonstration of using the Shining Laser on the final boss. So here we go. Yeah. So and the hitbox is pretty generous also, so that you can kind of hit him when he's not necessarily, you know, at ground level or whatever.
What was that?
But again, the hitbox on it is kind of weird. They fixed it for the second game, but in this one, it's got some weird properties to it. Yeah. So, and actually, in some sense, using the Shining Laser is actually faster. Like, Yeah, so I mean, it drains his energy super quick. So I mean, if you update the Shining Laser, it actually has about the same amount of attack, and you'll never have to use all of the energy if you hit him with it. So I don't know, the Shining Laser is a really, really good option if you want to go through all the side quests and get it before you beat the final boss, because it's super, super powerful. It's actually probably a little bit more powerful than the Shining Laser, or than the Active Buster is, excuse me. But yeah, you just have to go through some extra steps to get the parts for it. So like we demonstrated earlier in the run. So, but anyway, that's a demonstration of all the special weapons. Thanks for tuning in for this Mega Man Legends run, and we'll catch you guys in the next series. See y'all later.